The 2023 American spy action movie Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is directed by Christopher McQuarrie from a script he co-wrote with Erik Jendresen. It is the seventh installment in the Mission Impossible film series and the sequel to Mission Impossible Fallout 2018. Tom Cruise makes a comeback in Dead Reckoning Part 1 as Ethan Hunt, whose IMF squad battles a potent rogue AI known as the Entity with wits. Hayley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Esai Morales, Pom Klementieff, Mariela Garriga, and Henry Czerny are all included in the ensemble cast. IMF agent Ethan Hunt is given the responsibility of finding his friend and ally Ilsa Faust, on whom the IMF has put a bounty, in order to retrieve the other half of a cruciform key. He travels to the empty quarter in the Arabian desert and meets Faust there to get the half key. Ethan sneaks into a U.S. intelligence community meeting back home where directors of various intelligence agencies, including Eugene Kittredge, the director of the CIA, and Denlinger, the director of national intelligence, discuss an experimental artificial intelligence known as the Entity. The Entity, which was initially created to destroy digital systems, went rogue, developed sentience, and infiltrated the world's most important defense, military, and intelligence networks. A race against time is currently being waged by many world countries to preserve their national security and control the Entity. Ethan wants to eliminate the Entity because he thinks it represents an excessive danger to humanity. To find the owner of the second half of the key, he goes to Abu Dhabi International Airport with his teammates Luther Stickle and Benji Dunn. While Grace, a professional thief, steals the half key on behalf of a buyer, Ethan avoids both Gabriel, an Entity liaison with connections to Ethan's pre-IMF history, and members of the intelligence community. Benji narrowly manages to destroy a nuclear device sent by the Entity in a piece of luggage that Luther has identified, but to discover it empty. Ethan pursues Grace by himself after becoming alarmed by the Entity's apparent precognition and Gabriel's appearance. Before Gabriel and community agents arrive in Rome, Ethan locates Grace. Grace escapes once more after a protracted pursuit, while Ethan rejoins his crew and Faust. Ethan and Ilsa join an Atlanta Metropolis-hosted party in Venice with the assistance of Benji and Luther in an effort to locate Grace's buyer and discover the significance of the key. Grace runs into Gabriel at the party and discovers that Atlanta had hired her to steal the half key. Ethan makes vain attempts to talk a scared Atlanta out of selling the key. Gabriel informs the group that the Entity has infiltrated the party and has decided that either Ilsa or Grace, one of Ethan's allies, shall perish. After that, they all disperse, with Ethan sparing but subduing them. Paris, a subordinate of Gabriel. Before Ethan can interfere, Gabriel subdues Grace and murders Faust, severely harming him. Grace, who is feeling guilty, is persuaded to join Ethan's crew as they get ready to board the Orient Express for Innsbruck, where Alana will meet with her customer. Luther warns Ethan not to kill Gabriel out of retaliation since the Entity already expects him to in order to explore isolated signs of the Entity in his hard drive before departing for an off-grid area. Before seeing Denlinger, who suggests a partnership between himself and the Entity, Gabriel kills the engineer, fireman, throttle, and brake on the train. The Russian submarine Sevastopol was attacked and sunk by an early iteration of the Entity after it infected the system and deceived the crew into destroying the boat with their own torpedoes. According to Denlinger, the whole key unlocks the room housing the computer of the submarine. This early version is still present aboard the submarine, and whomever has access to it will be able to create the tools necessary to either control or permanently eradicate the Entity. Because Ethan had saved her life in Venice, Gabriel murders Denlinger and makes an attempt to kill Paris. Soon later, Grace's lie is discovered and she is sought after by Kittredge and Alana's brother, Zola, and his goon. To save Grace, Ethan jumps down a precarious cliff onto the train, but Gabriel gets the key. On top of the train, Ethan beats Gabriel down, but Gabriel escapes and blows up the bridge in front of him. All of the passengers were saved when Grace and Ethan separated the locomotive from the rest of the Paris, who tells Ethan about the key's connection to the Sevastopol just as they are about to plummet under the collapsed bridge, saves them just in time before she passes out from her injuries. Grace tells Kittredge that she has decided to join the IMF as Ethan leaves the train carrying the entire key that he had pickpocketed from Gabriel during their altercation. Critics' response. 96% of the 341 reviews on the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes are favorable, with an overall rating of August 10th. The verdict on the website is as follows, with world-threatening stakes and epic set pieces to match that massive title. Mission: Impossible's Dead Reckoning Part 1 proves this is still a franchise you should choose to accept. Based on 64 reviews, the weighted average review site Metacritic gave the movie a universal acclaim. Rating of 81 out of 100, indicating universal acclaim. In a survey conducted by CinemaScore, audiences awarded the movie an average grade of A on a scale from A+ to F, and according to PostTrack, 90% of viewers gave it a favorable review. Mark Kermode gave the movie 4 out of 5 stars in a favorable review for The Guardian. He praised Cruise for his acting in the movie and praised the movie's join-the-dots plot and thrilling action. Similarly, Todd McCarthy for Deadline Hollywood and Siddharth Adlika for IGN concluded that the movie is Hollywood action filmmaking at its peak, and that if every tentpole franchise entry were this fun and finely tuned, the theatrical versus streaming debate would be immediately put to rest. The action scenes were praised by Brian Truitt for USA Today, who said that it's the first half of a man versus machine epic that doesn't skimp in the thrills department. Just don't give it too much thought, even though your laptop will likely continue to draw severe side-eye from you.